actually one of the somebody who's watching asked, I try to be confident as a woman and have been told a couple of times that I need to check my ego. How do I work on confidence and it not come across as ego? This is definitely a question that we run up against constantly when we're doing our program, because our first course is on confidence. And how do you build your confidence? And how is confidence different than arrogance? Because there are huge differences between being confident and being arrogant. So I would love to hear from you ladies what you think about the question that's been asked of us. How do you become confident without being in the ego and overinflating who you are and those kinds of things?
I'd like to answer this one.
Sure.
Thanks. So I say own it. I think that people who exude confidence, sometimes you're this bright light and other people don't like to see that, because maybe they're not in a good place themselves. So your light makes them not feel so good about themselves. So I don't think that there's anything wrong with being confident as a woman. I think it's wonderful. But I think, going back to what we've talked about previously, that society shuns us for being confident, because then we're conceited and we're cocky, and you can't be that, as a woman. But when you're a man, confidence is an amazing trait. And so I say own, and I don't think that there's anything wrong with it, So whatever it is that they're telling you to kind of check your ego, I say make it vibrate times 10. That's just my personal take on it, because I think that your confidence is what other women need to see in order for them to kind of come out with theirs, because we've been told that confidence is a bad thing as a woman. So yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Iris?
I have to ask my question. I just wanted to know how you know your when you're doing something, how do you know it's your ego talking or your authentic self? Sometimes I know that I'm like, this is not really me, this is something else talking. Or this is in ego as in my pretend me. So we all have different ideas of ego, but this way it would be to be.
Yeah, I think with confidence and ego, I think you can be confident, but if it's coming from a false self, your imposters, then it comes across as ego and, oh, they're bragging. And I don't care for those type of people, because you just look at them and go, oh, how sad. They're so insecure and they're pretending to be confident. So I think when you're confident and really comes from your authentic soul, because you really know who you are and you're stepping in your power, that's amazing. Yeah, so I think you got to differentiate between the two, the false confidence and the real confidence.
And I think it also comes, there's a place in here, it's your solar plexus, which is your power center. It will come from there as opposed to coming from your head. That's my personal feeling has always been like that. This is what I tell other women. You will know when you have gained the confidence to be who you are because of where you speak from and where your power comes from. And you will just know it innately. Karen.
And to both your points, Lisa, and it's also about loving yourself.
Yeah.
So how do you step into your power? How do you do all the things that you both are talking about? It starts with loving yourself unconditionally. So it goes back to the beliefs. Yes. Exactly. It goes back to the empowering and all the beliefs that we're talking about earlier. I love myself. I'm learning to love myself. What a empowering belief that I have is, starting to love yourself unconditionally and freely. And when you do that, that's when your confidence starts to arise. And you're like, you know what? I love myself. I'm fabulous. I'm awesome. I'm this. And that's when you step into your power and gain your confidence and be your authentic self.
Sabrina.
I think it's also, thank you, Karen. I think it's also important to possibly recognize that the person who tagged this on you doesn't know the definition of ego, or could have a different definition than what your definition is. So I think it's also important to recognize that they also might, just like narcissism has that same thing. When I got into the world of narcissism, I realized that what I thought narcissism was is totally different than what it actually is. People misuse the word constantly in context that makes no sense whatsoever. So the people who are possibly labeling the ego of whatever you're doing or how you're acting could have a different definition than you.
And it's also about perspective, right? Every single person comes at everything from their own perspective. And sometimes people get threatened by women who are confident, and they see them as too much, overbearing, too loud, whatever the case may be. So yeah, absolutely. Anyone else? Jennifer? Did you have a comment? Sorry. No, was it?